So Team AH is doing their best to try to discredit the psychologist that Team JD had evaluate and give the diagnosis that she did for AH. And this lawyer, who's very uncharismatic and very, very aggressive and annoying, is trying her best, but she's ultimately failing. Now, there has been a really, really big development since my last video, and that's that the PTSD that Heard claims that she has, well, that turns out to be a bit of an exaggeration. Listen to this.
And there were also pretty significant indications that she was grossly exaggerating symptoms of PTSD when asked about them.
How did you make that latter conclusion?
So one of the strengths of this test, as I mentioned, the important thing about any test used when you're doing an evaluation in forensics is to make sure that the person is responding accurately. And this test does that by not just asking people whether they have a symptom, but asking follow-up questions that draw out very detailed accounts of every single symptom of PTSD. And when you're really familiar with this disorder, which you need to be to administer this test, there are nuances in the way a person will describe their symptoms that have been shown repeatedly to indicate exaggeration or faking. There are also indications when somebody is clearly giving you a genuine response.
Okay. What, if any, symptoms of PTSD did you observe in Ms. Heard?
So there are 20 kind of core symptoms that somebody can manifest with PTSD. You don't have to have all of them. Ms. Heard initially said that she had, in the first question, you say, do you ever have this? Before you get to the more nuanced follow-up questions. When I asked that first question on each item, she initially said, yes, I have that, to 19 of the 20 symptoms. That's not typical even of somebody with the most disabling form of PTSD. When we eventually sort of dialed it down, she had 3 remaining symptoms. And having symptoms of any disorder is common for all of us. Some of us struggle with sleep. Some of us get anxious. It could be several different disorders. It could just be that you have this struggle in your life. But she had 3 specific symptoms that I scored as present. Off the top of my head, I might miss one, but one was sleep disturbance. So she reported that she has frequent nightmares. Another one was that she said that she tends to have a startle response. So if she gets startled or surprised, she tends to stay in sort of a hyper startle mode for quite a while. And that's consistent with a couple of things. It can be consistent with PTSD if other criteria are met. It's also consistent with childhood complex trauma, which is something that can occur when your brain is forming. If you constantly feel unsafe, if your parents are abusive, or if they're not present, if you're neglected, you can develop certain physiological responses that can stay for a long time in your life. So I noted that seemed like a very genuine, accurate account where she stays in the state of kind of hyper arousal, has a hard time calming down if she gets surprised.
You mentioned nightmares as well.
Yes.
Did she recount for you the nature of the nightmares?
So they were vague. She indicated that she has recurrent nightmares and that she feels as though she's being held down. There was some conflict in that account because even though that could be a PTSD symptom, it is fairly vague, but I still scored it as present. And in her initial treatment with with Dr. Bonnie Jacobs, which I believe started before she began dating Mr. Depp, she had indicated to Dr. Jacobs, according to Dr. Jacobs's notes, that she was having repetitive nightmares back then and that they were related to her childhood trauma.
Caught more lies, it would seem. So they're having some trouble with this one, and they're really trying to discredit her. they've been pulling up the clinician that Amber was seeing before all of this happened, and that really doesn't work because if, at least according to that umbrella guy who is a clinical person, when someone comes to you and you see them for services, you're supposed to take them at their word and be on their side, and that really doesn't help sway things. You need a third-party person to really do this kind of work, which is what she is. And it seems like, I don't see how you discredit her. How does some lawyer discredit? Like, you should have heard her qualifications, but that's not going to stop them from trying to discredit her. And in a way, it is their job, but they got a tall mountain to climb. What they're trying to do is impeach her and get that off there, because those two personality disorders that she has, and the fact that she's exaggerating her PTSD is big. And it proves like a lot of the shit we've seen. One of the really interesting things was when she was talking about how somebody with these disorders likes to mimic people. And it lines up the shit she was doing earlier when she was wearing that pin that he had in his tie, trying to copy him. A lot of really, really big revelations from this testimony. You already have the news outlets running with it. Amber Heard looks uncomfortable as clinical psychologist reveals that she suffers from 2 personality disorders and exaggerated her PTSD after split from Johnny Depp. And this was her right there. She looked like she was seething. It was pretty funny to watch, actually. Seething. You could see it right there in that picture. She is seething. And I love it because, we've been waiting 6 years for her lies to get exposed. We've been waiting 6 years for it. Back when she was 30, now she's 36. Tough times ahead. Johnny Depp's legal team called an expert witness, Dr. Shannon Curry, to the witness stand on the 9th day of the defamation trial Tuesday. The clinical and forensic psychologist was hired to review files in the case last year before being asked to conduct an evaluation on Amber Heard. Curry revealed she ultimately diagnosed Heard, 36, with borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. The 2 disorders are found in people with patterns of emotional instability and attention-seeking behavior, among other traits. Heard, 36, is being sued by her ex-husband, and we know that one. Another person deciding to jump into this is Howard Stern, who, of course, is on Amber's side. This guy's fall from grace is quite astonishing. He, of course, is taking her side and calling Johnny Depp a narcissistic liar. It's like this dude, man. He's determined to destroy what little fame he has left, trying to grab onto these people that would cancel him in a second. I'm honestly surprised they haven't gone after him yet because there's so much shit with him in blackface and saying the N-word. And I'm not condemning him for his comedy, but the people that he's trying to make his fans, to make fans of him, will. You're going for the wrong audience, man. But, if this is your take, it just more reinforces the fact that I don't want to hear anything from you anymore. So, interesting day so far, and I'm looking forward to more. I don't know if they're going to finish up with her today. There might be another witness still because they still have 2 hours to go, at least as of now. So, we'll see what happens. But either way, interesting day. This was a big day. Her being given those disorder evaluations and her PTSD getting called out. Big stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.